Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Game Awards Predictions podcast. I'm your host today, Alec Bobko, and I'm joined by two wonderful other hosts of Shared Screens, Rumblepack and Austin. How you guys doing today?
Hi.
Hello.
I'm good.
It's a Monday.
Yeah.
I'm just feeding off the energy here. I was gonna be like, "Hey, what's up? I'm good. I'm great." But then that happened, so now I'm like, "Okay, now I'm just
Bro,
Set the
make your own
vibe.
waves,
Set the
man.
vibe.
Don't be afraid to just come in screaming. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that
basically all
part,
I
but-
ever do.
I mean,
all I
hey,
ever do.
Just
bottom
be
right
the
guy
reverse
or
of each
whatever.
other today.
I don't think I have that in me. I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't have Chris energy in me.
Yeah.
Chris
So,
doesn't have Chris energy today.
and that's why I'm hosting.
I
Hell yeah.
need to drink more of this.
So, we're going to be breaking these predictions into two separate ones. So we're going to first start off with because we know Game Awards, there's some announcements in between all the awards given out.
Some.
So, I mean, yeah, it's mostly an
80%
announcement show now. Yeah, yeah.
And I'm for it.
Unfortunately.
I am for it. Let me tell you.
Yeah. So, Austin, since you're for it, how about you kick us off?
Oh, you want me to go first? Oh, wow. Okay. I guess I'll just start with the top of my list. Death Stranding trailer and a 2024 date. And I think this is like a gameplay-ish trailer, but I think we also get the normal Kojima cut of whatever he's been working on.
I'll come in even a little hotter with that. I no gameplay at all. When's the last time Kojima even made a trailer with gameplay in it?
Fair point.
I think we need to see some of it because that was like a whole thing leading up to the other Death Stranding, which is it's different now, so I think they kind of have to. But like the first Death Stranding, they were like they put out like a picture of like
special edition that had a bunch of gameplay in it because the special edition was all gameplay changes. But like outside of that,
I just mean like the lead up to the original Death Stranding, where they would show like a picture of like a coffee cup, and people would lose their fucking mind or some shit.
Oh, yeah.
They just don't have that kind of like prowess going into the sequel to because it's kind of an established thing now. Not like it succeeds, but you know what I mean. We know at least what it is for the most part. So I think they have to show somewhat gameplay, and then I just also think we get the typical Kojima cut trailer.
I think there's for sure some Death Stranding somewhere just because of Jeff Keighley and Kojima's relationship being
exactly
what it is. Yeah,
I was shocked we didn't get it last year. Like I think last year I was expecting it as well. Not even like it's out imminent or anything, but like I just like there'd be
just
something
tease. Yeah,
something. At least Kojima
didn't we get
himself.
like one of the actors kind of tease there?
I don't remember.
Maybe. I mean, because I initially when
had,
said that I was like,
up.
Maybe not here at the Game Awards, but the Game Awards might be the perfect place to do it because they always have these awkward things anyway, where it's just something's gonna not really.
I'm talking about last year.
Perform well on the screen, but what about last year? Oh, they did that last year. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they did one of like the actor reveals last year. Like,
oh, I do not recall that at all.
I could just be
because it was like one of those like they were teasing up and leading it up, and I think they had something there. I thought that could be wrong.
Was that 2 years ago? I thought that was 2 years ago.
I'm the flat circle. It could have been.
Who knows? But I think we get a Death Stranding trailer of some sort with the year 2024. That's the nuts and bolts of my prediction.
Alrighty. I'll go with my first one then. So Rockstar came out recently and basically teased that, hey, we're gonna be showing GTA 6 early December. You know what else is early December? The Game Awards. So my prediction is we get a GTA 6 teaser trailer. So you get the location, maybe kind of a vibe check of the game, and then at the end it just says full reveal next week. So it basically gives GTA 6 it's time to shine at the Game Awards, but doesn't quite give a full breakdown of what it is. That's Rockstar can do its own thing the next week and have its own time to shine.
Yeah, I can see it. I have a similar prediction, but I can wait. But yeah, I can totally see it. I mean, with it being Rockstar, it's kind of up in the air with whatever they do, whatever they want. They kind of beat to their own drum. But like the whole dropping December thing seemed kind of on purpose. I just saw Chris's first prediction and it made me laugh.
Well, speaking of that prediction, Chris.
So here's the thing. Going into next year, game announcement wise, I don't have a great idea of what to expect. I think this year was such a banger year that it's just like, what could they possibly announce that we would have any idea for? Because it's like everything that I personally at least was looking forward to was all unloaded this year. That it's like the only thing that's kind of like on the horizon that I'm expecting, that I'm excited for, is Tekken. I don't really care about GTA 6 that much, and so I have no game announcements that I'm expecting. What I am expecting, however, is another one of the Muppets to appear at the Game Awards to reveal one of the things. Now, as we
That's a
know,
lock.
in 2018, Pepe the King Prawn came out alongside Ninja, right?
Oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
Jesus.
The next year we had Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker. Year after that, it was the Swedish Chef. Last year we had Animal. My prediction this year, we're getting the big man himself. It's going to be Kermit the Frog.
Ooh.
Kermit the Frog. Kermit himself.
Or fucking
Miss Piggy?
Miss Piggy. Yeah. Or both of them.
I feel like if you have one,
I think you get big ones. You know what I mean? I
if you
think
have
you get
one
big boys this year.
Sure. If you have one, I think the other is almost like a lock to also be there. But if it's just one, I guess Kermit is more likely. But if Miss Piggy's there, I feel like Kermit's going to be there as well.
But yeah, I'm throwing down the Kermit the Frog. I could also see though, because we haven't had, like, if you think of like the main cast of the Muppets, you have Piggy, Kermit, Fozzie, right?
Sure.
Like Fozzie might not be a bad one. I could see him showing up this year too. But either way, celebrity sighting at the Game Awards this year, it's going to be one of the Muppets. It's a lock. I can feel it.
I completely agree. Out of all the predictions so far, I think that one has the most probability of actually being true. So
Yeah.
so that's where I'm at.
Alrighty.
Alec?
Austin, number 2.
Oh, I forgot I went first. Shit. Well, GTA 6 we mentioned briefly, so I'll just kind of go into that because I had a similar one. The way you predicted it is that they're going to have like a teaser at Game Awards and then like their drop of, like, let's say, for instance, gameplay after that later. I think it's the other way around. I think they do like a gameplay-ish snippet, or they have a teaser before and then the gameplay snippet is at the Game Awards. So like your thing, but my timeline is just sooner. So like they're gonna tease it again before Game Awards happen. Like, hey, the tease might even be a tweet. Like it might just be like, hey,
yeah,
we're there. And then the big reveal will be at Game Awards, because I think like 5 years ago, yes, Rockstar would do their own thing, but I think the Game Awards now brings in an audience, like an audience of people to watch.
Well,
and I think not that Rockstar needs it, but I just think,
it's an institution now. Like at
yeah,
this point,
sure. But yeah, I just think the view count on the Game Awards is exactly what Rockstar wants, and I think they're going to utilize that.
Yeah.
So that's just me, though.
Yep. And that's, at least with mine, that's my thought. That was kind of the thought process of, like, kind of gives the best of both, where it gives something to the Game Awards, but then also Rockstar has their own time to shine.
Totally. Yeah. I'm with it.
For my second prediction, I was thinking that Spider-Man 2 DLC gets announced. But the twist is that it leads into the Wolverine game.
Ooh, very interesting.
I don't know how true that would be, but I would love that.
Exactly. I mean, they say it's the same universe, so I mean, it doesn't have to be much. You could just see Wolverine get like a little gameplay segment as him, kind of thing. Just
it would be cool to have, it would be cool to have Logan show up like in game, and then that carries over into Wolverine. Yeah.
Yep. That kind of like gives you the starting off beat of what that game's going to be, what's it going to feel like, what the combat's going to be, kind of the thing.
He's been in New York.
Yeah, just why? I want to know why.
Because he can.
Whatever's happening.
Because he can. He took a flight, y'all. All right. He's just there.
Motorcycle.
Stuff's happening. You know, whatever the storyline for the DLC.
Xavier's mansion's not that far away. He can drive. It's.
Where is that located technically?
Upstate New York.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Fair enough. I didn't know that. The more you know.
I knew it was East Coast. So I didn't know exactly where, but
cool.
There's not. I don't know where they've ever specified the location of it. It's just kind of New York. Yeah.
Is it going to get destroyed for the 17th time or something?
It'd be very funny if it just doesn't exist. Wolverine's the only X-Man.
It's just rubble. It's just rubble. Like, we don't know what was there, but yeah, it's gone.
It's already been blown up. It just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
That is like what's the term for like someone who is the same in every universe? there's a term for that, for like you're a variant, but you're not. You don't have any variants. Scarlet Witch,
Nexus.
a Nexus being or
Nexus
whatever. Yeah.
being, something like
Also,
that, yeah.
the mansion being destroyed is a Nexus being.
A canon event.
Exactly. It took way too long to get
Yes,
there.
yeah,
so-
canon event that every mansion has to be destroyed. Yep.
Hey, it didn't get destroyed this time. Oh shit. Oof. Sorry.
All right. Second prediction for you, Chris.
All right, so I'm throwing out for my last two, since my first one's pretty much a lock. I'm taking Hail Marys on my last couple predictions here. Right, I'm going long shots. Here's the thing: we know another Smash Brothers game is coming. We know it exists. Nintendo will never not be working on a new Smash Brothers game. Sakurai himself has even talked about the next Smash game. Now, the question is, of course, is like, what does that look like following Ultimate, which had every Smash Brothers character ever, and then more. The scope of the game is going to be different. It's all these things, but that's all a different conversation. One of the first like huge announcements I remember like ever like coming out of the Game Awards was that Joker from Persona was being added to Smash Ultimate, right? Like that was one of those where I was like, oh shit, Game Awards got a Smash Brothers announcement. Like that's huge, right? And
I don't even care about Smash, and that was a hype as fuck announcement. Loved it.
Yeah.
I would say not even just a Smash Bros announcement, a third-party Smash Bros announcement.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, on top of it, it was a guest character for the biggest Smash Brothers game of all time announced at the Game Awards. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have to be huge, doesn't have to show gameplay, doesn't even have to show, just like imagine if we just get like
Just the
like a
symbol.
confirmation that Smash Brothers is on the way.
Mhm.
Especially with so many Switch 2 rumors around the corner. You know?
Yeah.
I think it fits. It could work. It could happen. Keep an eye out. If it happens, you heard it from here first. All right.
Man, I was just
Chris
think how
Pickman.
cool that tease would be. You just see the Smash symbol, like does like the little boom, and it just says 2024, 2025, whatever. It just
Absolutely. It's a 2-second trailer
That's
and
it.
everyone
That's
will lose
it.
their fucking minds.
Yeah. or currently being worked
Like
on or something.
in
Like, does it-
production, yeah.
yes.
Who's heading it, and what's the titles?
I believe Sakurai is still going to be heading it.
Oh, I thought he said he was done.
I don't think he's actually done. It's like the fourth time that he's done.
Right?
He was gonna stop after Melee,
Yeah.
and then after Brawl, and then after Ultimate. He ain't done.
Will he have like a lesser role, like he can be a consultant or whatever?
I think the idea is that technically someone's going to be directing it, but he's still going to be heavily involved with it. Is what the kind of rumors around it are.
Gotcha.
That he's kind of like passing the baton, but it is still very much like Sakurai's baby.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just super? Is it just super Smash Bros?
Super duper brothers.
Super duper brothers. You once again heard it here first, folks. Right here, baby.
Big Smash, you know.
Ooh, I actually kind of like that.
Big Smash.
Smash
Brothers.
go big. EA Sports
Alright.
big.
All right, Austin,
Right,
give us
dude.
your final announcement prediction.
I once again forgot that I was next. God damn it. There's literally three of us, and I. Okay, what I have written down here, it's kind of boring, but I'll go with it, I guess. Remember that game called Replaced? Remember that at the Xbox showcase?
Got delayed, right?
Yeah, and I have in my note I put Replaced trailer and release window Q2 2024, and I put Xbox talking point in my notes. And what I mean by that is I just think we're gonna get like, it doesn't necessarily have to be replaced. That's just the one I'm using. We could get like Stalker 2 here, just games that Xbox had delayed that they want to like remind people about. Does that make sense?
The first ever Xbox game written by ChatGPT.
Anything but that, for fuck's sake, please. No.
Game Awards was the one to announce like the partnership with whatever AI company and Microsoft that's happening. That broke from Game Awards.
Oh, that's true. I do vaguely remember that. But yeah, I just think that
which is gross and I hate it.
This is the chance for Xbox to remind people, like, hey, these games that we were heavily touting, they're still coming. And I think like a trailer for one of those games would happen. Starfield 2 already in production, baby.
Starsfield.
Nice.
Bigger, better, faster, whatever that freaking slogan is for Marvels.
Yep. All right. Well, Chris, it's funny that you mentioned the Switch 2 because my final prediction is the Switch 2 gets a tease and a full reveal is coming early next year. So I'm thinking or late January, early February, kind of similar kind of vein to when the original Switch was revealed and
Yeah.
announced. Like it had that event kind of early in the year.
I will be floored if that happens. Like, I just don't see that happening, but I would be really, really happy if it did. Let me tell you.
Because I was just thinking, like, Switch is kind of winding down, so I don't know if they're gonna have anything like super new to announce there at Game Awards. But Nintendo always likes to have something at Game Awards,
Yep.
so
Yep.
it's like, oh, just give them a little tease.
I mean, they
for
have
the
a whole
Switch 2.
category. They have a whole category, all right?
They really do.
This year looks pretty different. I think they only had two Nintendo games in there. So,
And our final announcement prediction, Chris, let's bring it home.
We know it's coming. It got announced, I believe, at Game Awards years and years ago. Last game, not received as well as one might hope. Bethesda's got to make up some ground. They remind us once again, Elder Scrolls 6 is on its way.
What do we get?
More footage of mountains.
Yeah, the crowd loses their freaking mind.
I mean, they will too.
Honestly,
more helicopter shots of mountains in the words Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool. I could also see them, like, what I want out of an Elder Scrolls 6 like announcement is, like, do you remember how the Oblivion game opened, where it's just like the Emperor talking in like a black background and it's just really, really cool and cinematic? I just want that. Just whatever the freaking, what is the game? What is the main plot point? That's what I want.
Especially because like the events of Skyrim were kind of like these long foretold events that were mentioned in all of the previous Elder Scrolls game. The dragons coming back was this massive focal point for the entire series. And so it's like, where does it go from here? And so yeah, I am really, really curious about that. But like, I'd be surprised if Bethesda doesn't have at least like something. I think genuinely the more realistic thing is like some kind of comment on Starfield or just like even Xbox coming and saying, hey, look at these Bethesda games that we own. But like I would like to see something Elder Scrolls in there.
Ooh.
How do we get a lot of remake announcements or remake/remaster announcements at Game Awards? Because there was a leak about the Oblivion remaster semi recently. So I'm just curious if that
we got
happens.
Resident Evil 4 remake last year, didn't we?
That's like the king of remakes, though. So I don't know.
Sure, but I mean, it's still a remake. I think Dead Space was there too.
Sure.
Well, just I guess speaking of Bethesda, there's always a chance of Indiana Jones. I know it's not actually Bethesda Game Studios, but
I could not care less about that game.
There was
that Machine.
Yeah.
There was an old Indiana Jones game that released on the original Xbox. It was Xbox exclusive. That was really awesome for the time. And so it's like I'm kind of stoked on that, especially like you have an opportunity to kind of make something that feels like Uncharted, because Uncharted was very much based on Indiana Jones, right? And so I miss those like huge set piece, like really classic action movie video games, and so I think Indiana Jones has an opportunity to kind of step in where Uncharted left, and like ironically it's kind of a full circle moment, but it would be cool to see Indiana Jones at Game Awards.
I think this was one of those because we just haven't seen anything since its initial reveal. I think Game Awards could be a good time to kind of like reignite that, the hype for that game.
I think the only reason we haven't seen a lot is because, one, they're working on it, but two, I think they just really want to do literally all marketing for Starfield. Like this was their big thing, so they just kind of didn't want to crowd that. But yeah, if we get an indie game, I want them to really lean into like the puzzly stuff, like the typical like Uncharted, Indiana Jones puzzles. Like just really lean into those, and then give me something clever with the whip. Give me some clever, not just like you're whipping people and you can swing on it. Think of something clever to do with it, because I don't know what that is, but like you're making the game, so give me something clever.
I mean, they make Wolfenstein, so I'm sure they got something crazy cooked up.
You could genuinely.
They're already good at.
You could just put Nathan Drake in a hat, and I would fucking love that game, dude. That would be 100 with you.
Great.
Who do you think I am, Nate Drake? They just drop that line. I mean, they're already good at killing Nazis.
This treasure exists in a place that is Uncharted and looks directly
Looks
into
at the camera.
Okay, before we get into some of the award predictions that we have, I'm just gonna do a couple little quick promos. So we've launched new podcasts. We've got Shared Screens Elite Four podcast, where it's Jordan, myself, Chris, and Austin, and we go through and right now we're going through and talking about our perfect Pokemon game. So first 2 episodes are out of Jordan's and Austin's. You can go check that out. And then first episode just dropped as of recording today, but it dropped this past Monday as of when this is going to be uploaded. So you can go check it out of the Fallout podcast we have of the Pit Boys. It's Austin and Josh talking about the vaults and ranking the vaults.
Fucking nerds.
It's fun stuff. This is like the podcast I've wanted to make since like the inception of Waypoint. There's a throwback for you guys.
R.I.P.
Rip. But yeah, this is like the one. So please go out and support it.
It was a fun one. Yeah, definitely go check that. And then, real quick, we're going to be doing like we always have been, a Discord watch party for the Game Awards. So if you're just hanging out that day, come hang out in the Discord. We're going to be having an event, just hanging out. And if you can miss, since we don't do any content around it, you miss moments like when a couple years ago the Star Wars game was announced, and we had all that moment when we realized it was Quantic Dreams, and collectively just groaned.
Like, woo! Oh shit!
Yeah, no, seriously, like,
fuck you, David Cage. God,
it was like the amount of
true
hype
sentiment.
It was for seeing a Star Wars game being announced, and then just the de-escalation of seeing Quantic Dreams logo.
Look, I like Quantic Dream.
Yay! Oh.
I like Quantic Dream. I do think it's a weird choice for a Star Wars game, but I also just really hate David Cage. So
Yep, exactly.
But I don't want to like throw hate at the studio because I know like probably most of that studio are probably good, genuine people. So
that's fine. I'll do it. David Cage sucks and his games are boring.
I agree. David Cage is a piece of shit.
And moving on to our award. Because there's not a better segue. We only have 10 awards we're going through just so we can keep this podcast moving and not keep you guys here forever. We're starting off with the most anticipated game, because I thought this would be a good one. Kind of like how Chris mentioned, don't know too much about what's going on next year, but you've got a handful here that I think would be really good to talk about.
Sure.
So we've got recognizing
and coming out next year.
Announced game that has demonstrably illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward. We have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Hades 2, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Star Wars Outlaws, and Tekken 8.
Woo! I'm excited for all of these games.
I will exactly. I'm right there with you. 2, I am not a Star Wars person. I will probably be playing Outlaws because I was impressed by what I saw. That's a Ubisoft game, right?
Yes, it is.
That makes me both excited and worried.
But the thing I'm excited.
Go ahead.
So the thing I'm excited about though is that it's Massive. That's kind of like the lead developer. But then in that presentation when they showed it off, I think they said something about a bunch of the Ubisoft studios are actually like helping this.
That's cool.
Which that's pretty typical of Ubisoft. Is my understanding just kind of how the way the company works is
the dev cycle for them.
They'll have sort of like a lead team.
Though.
Yeah, they'll kind of have a lead team, and then they'll pull people from other parts of it to help with stuff. That's kind of my big holdout for it is that it's made by Ubisoft Massive, specifically who made the Division series, which I enjoyed the Division 2 a lot. So I've got a good idea of what the gameplay is going to feel like, especially based off of like the gameplay that we saw. I was like, oh, there's a lot of Division DNA here, without it being like an MMO, right? Which is really cool.
Yep.
And like, yeah, the seedy underbelly of the Star Wars galaxy isn't one that's really explored all that much in the game space, at least not these days. You get kind of a little bit in Jedi Survivor, but I love a good Star Wars game where you're not a Jedi. I think it's a nice change of pace, and so I'm stoked to see that.
I'm excited to jump in as someone who knows next to nothing about Star Wars. Whenever people ask me, I'm like, Darth Maul is cool. That's all I got.
Not
I've heard of Luke Skywalker.
I have heard of that person. Can confirm. Pretty big deal. Pretty big deal.
Honestly, for me, I'm going with Hades 2, just because Hades was one of those games like Supermass. Like, I know they are Super Giant games. they kind of came like I knew that I knew Bastion was really well received. Same with Transistor.
Very good too.
Didn't get a chance to play those though before getting into Hades, and Hades was just that game that just took over my life when it came out. And seeing that we got, because this Game Awards last year was where we got the announcement for Hades 2. So
could see
honestly, that'd be another thing. Getting an official release date for the early access, we could see that there.
I'm stoked on that one. As somebody that has played all the Supermassive games like since Bastion, like they're
even Pyre.
I did play Pyre.
I like Pyre a lot.
I like Pyre.
Anyway,
Pyre,
sorry.
Pyre
I have it on PlayStation.
Was really weird, and I love that.
Yeah. Anyway.
But like the level of quality that they consistently put out, number one, is crazy. But also two, it's crazy to see them do a direct sequel to a game. Usually they just kind of move on to the next idea.
Totally agree.
And so I'm really excited to see how they build that out. Like I think it's cool to see them doing something new by not doing something new, if that makes sense. It's gonna be
just to see what improvements they make to the Hades formula,
like how different
because it was already so well polished. Probably because they had a year plus of early access that they could really fine tune everything. So when by the time the full release came around, it was like, hey, it's good to go.
Yeah. So my vote initially, like I already went through and voted on my own. I initially voted for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because I was just shocked by how I really, really liked the first one. But if I read the definition of this, like pushing the medium forward, I don't know. I really genuinely don't know which one of these games does that. I mean, I had to get hands on them to see how that works. But
I ignore the description of all these categories because people
don't
do
them. Yeah. So I mean, my personal vote was
as far as like pushing the medium forward, I would be inclined to go with whatever Supermassive is making. But this is a sequel to Hades 2.
Supergiant.
Sorry, Supergiant.
I made that mistake too.
I keep doing it.
We also talked about Massive. Ubisoft
exactly.
Massive. So you know.
Typically, I would go with whatever Supergiant is making, but because this is going to be an iteration of Hades, it's got me going, I guess which one would I describe as like pushing the gaming medium forward? Honestly, I don't think any of these are doing that. I'm extremely excited for Star Wars Outlaws. Ain't no way Ubisoft is pushing the gaming medium forward.
Yeah.
In no universe is that happening. My most anticipated game here. Oh, there goes Austin. Hold please.
Hey.
Is he back? Coming to hear him? I'm gonna give him a mic check, Austin. We lost you for a second.
Oh nope,
there he goes again. One more time, maybe.
Is he back?
I'm here.
Okay.
I was like, when's it gonna happen? When's it gonna do it? Sorry.
All right, for sure.
Yeah, no worries.
So I'll cut that out. Anyway, back to it. My personal most anticipated game here is probably just as a massive Star Wars fan. It's Outlaws. I'm stoked on that. As a big fighting game fan, I'm extremely excited for Tekken 8. Like you want to talk about pushing the gaming medium forward. They're taking a lot of notes on Street Fighter 6 apparently, and are doing lots of really really cool things to make Tekken, which is historically one of the most difficult fighting games to get into, much more approachable. I think one of the coolest things I've seen is a thing where you can load up like recordings of matches that you've played, and you can pinpoint like the game will pinpoint like particular moments that essentially like cost you that match, and it'll allow you to replay them and even give you it's like, here's how you approach that differently, and give you like the opportunity to play that in practice mode and be able to react to things that you lost to, and train those specific moments.
Like, hey, you're good at this, so like we don't have to tell you about this, but like you like countering is
that's insane. Yeah, that's crazy.
Really intuitive. I like that a lot.
And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I think is gonna be rad. All of these look like really good games. I'm hoping again. I'm gonna try and get into Yakuza here soon because I think Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth looks really.
Bunch of them are on Game Pass.
The entire series.
Yeah,
very true.
I really
outside of like the one that just dropped last week or whatever.
I enjoy those games. They need to be shorter. Like I want them to be more digestible, but I do really enjoy it.
Super fair. Which one do I think wins this? It's a toss-up between Final Fantasy and Hades, I think.
Yeah. I can see either one doing it, but I'm going to... Is this for us or for what we think wins, Alec?
I put it down for what I think is wins. That's why I put So,
I got you.
yeah, Hades 2 for me.
I'm saying Final Fantasy. I'll put my flag down.
Fine, I'll do something different. Just to be different, I will say Outlaws.
Okay.
I'm saying Final Fantasy, especially when you look at like how well received Final Fantasy 16 was this year.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more eyes on Final Fantasy now than there's been in a long time.
Which we'll talk about later, how it wasn't there.
Yep.
How it got fucking snubbed by a remake of the game. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
And the remake of the
Oh,
game
yeah.
fucking rocks. Don't get me wrong, but we'll get there.
I got thoughts on that. We'll get there.
Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah. We've got
Right.
thoughts. That's why
I'm
we're
coming
not
in with
doing as
energy
many.
today. Just so all of you in the audience know, I'm here because I have to be. I don't give a fuck about the Game Awards, dude. And so I'm coming in hot. I'm coming in hot today.
Okay. He's hot. He's
All
hot. He's
right.
coming in hot. He's also hot.
Moving on. Austin, you said Outlaws for you?
yeah. Let's make it spicy. We all have to pick something different. Make it spicy. Why not?
All right. So, best adaptation. Recognizing outstanding creative work
Twisted
that
Metal.
faithfully and authentically adapts a video game to another entertainment medium.
Since I went last time, I'm taking the first pick this time. I'm taking The Last of Us. Fuck y'all.
Well, I didn't even read the nominees, dude. Hold your horses. You just are all over the place today, man. Like,
Son
you
of a
don't know
bitch.
your prediction order.
That's also
Like,
true.
just-
You're not
you
wrong.
don't
You're
know-
spitting facts right now. Okay.
Keeps leaving.
It was one time. I clogged the toilet.
So the nominees are Castlevania Nocturne, Gran Turismo, The Last of Us, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and Twisted Metal.
Insert what I just said like 30 seconds ago.
All right, so we're skipping Austin now.
Just yeah.
Here's the thing. What do I think is winning? It's The Last of Us. I don't even think it's close.
Totally agree.
I can't think of a better video game adaptation ever. Like genuinely, I think The Last of Us is the single best video game adaptation I've ever seen.
Like
Wow.
that scene in the hospital, like it's one of those, like it just made me when Joel, like you just see the montage and it just all goes quiet. Just one of the best moments in TV.
And I think it's like people kind of whine about like changes to it. There's not a lot of infected like later on in the series and that sort of thing. But the thing is like the way things are delivered when you're adapting things have to change to fit that medium. And so like a lot of The Last of Us is combat, and it would be I don't think it would work as well if 80% of the last like 3 episodes of The Last of Us is just combat.
Or opening up
and-
drawers. Let me see. Oh my god.
Yeah. And so I think it does that really, really well, because at the end of the day, Last of Us is a character focused story. It's
I was gonna
about
say.
Ellie and Joel and the things that they're going through, and it does that extremely well. Now,
It's always about
because
the
I'm
characters,
picking-
not the clickers.
and because I think this is the second best video game adaptation ever made, I'm going with Castlevania.
Wow.
The Castlevania anime series fucks, dude.
So-
like it's absolutely insane, especially because it's a series that has like early on at least like really light amounts of story going on, because we're talking about the series that was on the Nintendo and Super Nintendo originally, and those are the characters that they're adapting. Because really, it was kill Dracula. That's fight monsters to kill Dracula, and they turned that into like again another really great like character focused thing. All the main characters have reasons for being there and going after that. They turned Dracula into kind of like this tragic villain who is so wrathful against the humans because like the satanic panic that was going on in the medieval era. Like they killed the woman that Dracula loved, and so now he's unleashing his revenge upon the people that did that to him, and it's fabulous, excellent series.
Is that an Adi Shankar series?
It is, and he's going to be doing. He just does or they showed off Devil May Cry too. Yeah,
Is that the same guy who did the Blood Dragon thing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
that guy.
He's kind of Netflix's. He's Netflix's like video game guy basically.
And it shows.
Yeah, and because he's good at it, man.
Yeah. So I feel like
although I'm really upset with the dumb trailer for Devil May Cry. They show an NES first, and it changes into a PS2 later. And I understand that it's supposed to show the transition from Castlevania to Devil May Cry, but it's fucking stupid, and it doesn't get across the point well.
Wait, what? I mean, like in reality, yeah, Last of Us is gonna take this, but like I feel like Castlevania, the only reality where that wins is if like Last of Us and Mario split votes, and then somehow Nocturne gets it. But yeah, it's gonna be
I
Last of Us.
can see Mario getting a lot,
Yep.
but I think it's Last of Us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mario,
Yeah. I'll say, as much as I want to go Twisted Metal, because man, that was such a fun series. Like, if
I
you
couldn't
have
finish it.
Peacock, you owe it to yourself to
I
watch.
couldn't finish
'cause
it.
It was wow.
I think it was that
okay.
bad. It was some of the worst acted, worst written things I have ever seen in my entire existence.
See,
Hated
Austin,
it.
you just don't enjoy fun.
I just hated that show, but that's just me.
It is a
I
fun
got to like
show. To,
episode 4, I think, and I was like, "Why am I watching this?" Like, I was like, "I'm done. I can't do this anymore."
I watched the Game Awards thing that they showed last year, and I was like, I'm not watching this.
I will
you
say
guys just
the
don't
entire
fun.
show is like better than that scene, but I don't think it's good.
Sure, but there's still too much out there that I haven't watched
Yeah.
yet that I'm not going to waste my time on Twisted Metal.
Yeah, I don't think it's good.
I'm sure it's decent. I've actually heard that it was good, and maybe I'll get around to it right now. It's not a very high priority.
I heard that as well. They're
Right.
fucking crazy. I think it's really bad.
Maybe you're the crazy one.
Probably.
But I'm going with Super Mario Bros. Because that movie was actually just really good, like really well made. Like, you know, going from when it was all the casting was announced and we thought they were all crazy for casting Chris Pratt.
It was
like,
more so crazy for how they announced all that. It was really weird.
right. Yeah. Right.
Like Chris Pratt, he's so cool.
Exactly. It was so weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well,
But
yeah,
yeah,
I remember watching that direct. I was like, it looks like they Googled actors
reaction video.
and then just selected the first 7 that came up.
Yeah. Who should play Peach?
Yeah. Donkey Kong, Seth Rogen, why not?
Yeah.
Love it.
Moving on, we've got Best Multiplayer for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game genre or platform. We've got Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo 4, Party Animals, Street Fighter 6, and Super Mario Wonder.
Shout out to Party Animals. I'm just glad it got nominated somewhere.
And you know what? I am picking Party Animals for my pick.
I
on
knew
this
I
one.
was going to pick Party Animals. Yeah.
Because man, it's like, I know every time it's just one of those games that you can just quick drop in, drop out. Like, hey, before we had our big we had a big old Halo game night. Friend of the show, Fox of the Future, and we just played a bit of Party Animals together.
Shout out.
And this is one of those like real fun, just quick drop in,
Yeah.
drop out, get a few games in, or you can spend an entire night up till 3 a.m. playing with friends and just the most chaotic fun
Yeah.
ever.
I feel like
Oh yeah,
Party Animals struck a good balance of like you don't really have to know games because like some of the like stages like you can literally just luck out and get a dub. Like it's just like, oh cool, I just ran away and everyone died. Cool.
Well, I mean, Party Animals hits that thing of like there's a tiny little bit of skill there.
There's a smidge.
You can get at that. There's enough random to make it hilarious. Like the physics are awesome. It reminds me of games like Power Stone or Fusion Frenzy, where you can play with people who aren't like super gamers, and everyone's gonna have a blast.
Yep.
Because the weapons are the great equalizer.
Oh,
you
yeah,
pick up a
100%.
weapon and just go wreck shop with some nunchucks.
Even the weapons are weird too because you kind of have to get used to like the wind up for the weapon. Like you can kind of kind of get really slow and sluggish. So I feel like they balance that really well.
That equalizer, you can be as good as you want at like headbutts or drop kicks or whatever. But I mean, it's you slide off the plane, you lost anyway.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
the plane.
When you nail a drop kick though, you're like, yeah, that was fucking dope.
It's the best
That was really cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Chris.
Listen, there's a particular game on here that everyone knows that I'm a very, very big fan of, and so I would like to announce my pick as Baldur's Gate 3.
Wow, that was not what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, I know. Obviously I'm the Street Fighter guy here, and normally I would, and I'm extremely biased, so I'm taking that bias out. I'm just not picking Street Fighter 6 for this. But also, when I think of my experience with Baldur's Gate 3, I am in like 5 multiplayer games of like different multiplayer games of Baldur's Gate 3. It's basically the only way I've played it.
It's his vice.
And like as somebody that loves the idea of Dungeons and Dragons but doesn't particularly love actually playing Dungeons and Dragons, this was a way that I was able to interact with that universe and get an extremely similar experience to where it's like I play with friends, we fuck around, we make jokes, we kill people we shouldn't have, and then we're like, oh God, why did we do that? Like it's like I play with my brothers, and like anytime somebody's in a menu or something, like me and one of my other brothers are there immediately, like pickpocketing everything that he's got. It's just one of those things to where it's like it perfectly encapsulates like the experience of playing Dungeons and Dragons together, and the freedom of choice and expression that the game allows is crazy, and I think is really slept on as a multiplayer game overall. If you haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 in co-op, you absolutely need to. It's the best way to play the game.
Super cool.
Chris, you want to play Baldur's Gate?
I do not.
That was perfect. That was good. I like that a lot.
Do you know how many fucking times I've played like the first 3 hours of Baldur's Gate? I'm done.
You'd be tiring.
I can't.
I'm gonna vote for, even though I completely disagree, and I will tell you why, but I'm gonna vote for Super Mario Bros. Wonder, simply because I feel like at this point it's a popularity contest after that, and for this category, I think it's just you can't beat Mario in terms of popularity. But has anyone here played Wonder?
No.
I played through.
I'll play the first couple
Sure.
levels.
I played through all of it with my wife. They do this thing where you get a crown and like the camera follows you. And so if you go too fast or too slow, everyone else just gets fucked over. And then they become a ghost for like 5 seconds, and then they literally die. Nope. Well,
it doesn't do like the bubble thing like new Super Mario Brothers?
You turn into a ghost, but there's a timer on it. Like you could just kind of sit in the bubble for a decent amount of time if you wanted to. But now you're a ghost. I don't remember for how long, but it's like 5 or 10 seconds. And then if you elapse that time, you lose life.
Huh.
And it makes it very frustrating. I told her, like, I would honestly, like, I'm cool with the crown mechanic. Just zoom out just a little bit, because I need more screen clearance. Like, I'd rather my person be a little smaller just to give us more of a chance to actually stay on the screen. So I completely disagree, but I'm going to vote with Wonder for that one, just because I really hated the camera in that game. And I've heard other people say this as well. Like Brian Altano on Twitter was like, playing this with my daughter is a nightmare. And it's because, like, if he dies, then, like, whoever else is playing gets the crown and the camera follows them. So if you're playing with someone who does not really understand video games, you're just fucked. You have to take the controller from them and be like, no, we're going this way. Kind of a thing. So
yeah, I don't love that.
Yeah. That's my vote.
No. All right. Moving on to Best RPG. For the best game design with rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences, we've got Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of P, Sea of Stars, and Starfield.
What the fuck is Lies of P doing in this?
Yeah, that's a weird one, right? I
think it's.
I kind of feel the same thing about Final Fantasy 16, but I mean, at least that one is somewhat an RPG.
Yeah, I think Lies of P is just one of those, like, it needed to get its stars somewhere, or its time to shine somewhere.
I'd rather them for this category, and I'm gonna get shit for this, but I'd rather them for these two categories, because the next one I won't go into all the nominees, but the next one is Best Action Adventure, and Zelda is in that category. I would rather them swap Lies of P and Legend of Zelda, but that's just me. And I know Zelda is not an RPG, but I feel like it's way more an RPG than Lies of P. But just me.
I actually see Lies of P. I think the problem is RPG is too broad of a term these days. Every game has some version of RPG mechanics in it.
Yep.
I guess, yeah. I think the reason Lies of P is in here is, I guess, you're putting points into, like, very specific stats.
Yeah.
In your builds.
Yeah, but like, so did God of War, but I wouldn't call that an RPG. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where I'm like, I disagree with that pick. But whatever. I don't make the choices, I guess.
Do. Exactly.
Also,
a lot of people do, but yeah.
There's also no world where Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't win this. Right?
Yep.
Like,
right. Yeah.
And Chris, you haven't got a first pick so far, so I'll give you that pick if that's what you want.
Whatever. Sure.
I feel like it's an easy dub for you, and you haven't got to go first, so I'll go next after that. And I will totally take Starfield, because I feel like that's the only one that even has a remote chance of taking anything else. But yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win this easily without any competition.
Baldur's Gate 3, if I had to pick one game out of here, though, I think Sea of Stars is the best RPG.
And that was actually going to be my pick. Because I haven't gotten around to playing the full game yet, but what I played of the demo was so cool. So
it's very good.
Might honestly be my kind of like late November, early December kind of game or kind of get some stuff wrapped up before Game of the Year.
I played
very good game. Big time Chrono Trigger vibes.
Played like 5 hours of it. Really, really, really like it. I need to get back to it for Game of the Year talk and see if it'll make my
great Steam Deck
top
game.
6 or whatever.
Ooh, that's good. Good to know.
Great Steam Deck game.
Yeah, Sea of Stars is definitely worth your time, people.
Yeah, please play Sea of Stars. It's on Game Pass. Go play it. Yep. It's very good.
It's also like $25 elsewhere, so like you're not out much if you don't have Xbox.
Yeah, because you can get it on like Switch or something too, which
Yep.
that would make a good Switch game too.
I almost bought it for Switch
Yeah.
for that reason. Almost.
Good one for
Because
your
I mean,
Germany trip.
Chrono Trigger, because there were people that were involved with Chrono Trigger that made Sea of Stars. I mean, it was a Super Nintendo game.
Okay.
It feels right at home on the
Oh
Switch.
yeah, this is also the game that's in the same universe as
The
The
Messenger.
Messenger, which blows my mind. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, that
Oh yeah.
it's not like people haven't genre bended before, but like it's just I don't know. I wouldn't have, like, if you told me that, I'd be like, no, but no, it's true.
Well, I mean, it's same universe.
Yeah, I know.
you
I'm
what
just
So,
saying,
like,
it's just
same
one of those
lore-
things.
Same lore
Sure,
and all that.
just one of
but
those things
yeah,
where like,
two completely different games. But
if you
yeah,
never brought it up, I would have
so-
never known, kind of a thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, as Austin said, next category is best action adventure. For the best action adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving, we've got Alan Wake 2, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Wow.
So this one, I gotta go with Tears of the Kingdom.
Makes sense.
Like the whole like traversal and puzzle solving, it's like that's just that game.
Yeah. Nope. That's the right answer.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Traversal and puzzle solving is Tears of the Kingdom. That's what you do in that game.
Yep.
Like,
Case closed.
Yeah, that's kind of all I got to say on that. It's like
I'm so sad that this is basically like the only like major category this game is in, and it's not going to win. But when I think of combat, traversal, puzzle solving, my favorite game that does all three of those really well this year is Jedi Survivor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like
I did
it does
pick
all
it when
three
I
of
voted for
those.
all my categories.
It does all
online.
three of those extremely well, and is a game that I think is going to get very overshadowed with everything else that has come out this year, and I think deserves a lot more love because it is a very, very, very good game.
Yeah.
I think this is the only category it's actually nominated in.
No, that might be true.
Cameron Monaghan got like best performance, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I'm not talking about like
as a
form
game.
him,
Like, yeah,
then,
this is the only one it's in. I think he got like some soundtrack stuff as well. It's just nominated for a Grammy. The soundtrack.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool shit.
Yeah,
That's an
which is
honor.
cool.
That's an honor. So
but it's also going up against God of War and Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, once again, it won't win.
Well, shit, but
It won't win because Bear McCreary is going to clear that. But like,
oh yeah,
man.
So I'm
Blood Upon
torn
Snow. Come on.
between Spider-Man and Alan Wake 2, because I feel like this also encompasses Alan Wake 2, and I don't think you do a lot of puzzle solving in Spider-Man, but I just think Spider-Man wasn't really represented in a ton of categories, if I remember correctly. So I think this might be the one where people are like, well, I guess this is where it gets its flowers. So I'm going to go with Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I'd probably vote Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2, also another title that you should play, everyone.
I haven't played Alan Wake or Spider-Man yet. I'm gonna get around to. Shout out to Resident Evil 4 though. I was this close to picking that. It's an incredible game.
That one probably fits the category better than
that. I still have some thoughts on later.
Spider-Man, for the record.
Game of the year, yeah.
Alrighty. Next, we have Best Independent Game. Got some controversy on that one today. For outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system, we have Cocoon, Dave the Diver, Dredge, Sea of Stars, and Viewfinder.
I am going to.
So here's the thing. So here's the thing, because let me just at least touch on the controversy. Dave the Diver, not
the
an
elephant in the
game.
room.
Not an independent game. It was published by one of the biggest publishers in the entire I almost said genre. What's the industry? Thank you.
In the world,
to where it's like they either need to change the title of this award or change the definition of what it encapsulates. David Diver is an extremely good game made by a small team, very passionate. And I think people think of independent games as a vibe more than a game published by an independent studio, right? And so I love that Dave the Diver. I think it's a really, really great game. I do not think it is an independent game.
Nope.
That said, my pick is still Sea of Stars.
Well, I thought I went first. Oh man. Okay.
You can have it.
No, I'll be nice.
It's the only game I've played on this list outside of Dave the Diver. I played Dave. I played Sea of Stars. I didn't play the rest of these.
Nope. Okay, so put Chris down for Sea of Stars. I'll be a gentleman and I'll give him that.
Put multiple people on Sea of Stars.
No.
It's the only viable option for me. It's all I've got.
I'll get spicy. What if I just went Dave the Diver? I'm just kidding. I do want to say that
really good.
Dave the Diver for this category, it does not belong here. It does belong at the Game Awards. I think Dave the Diver, from what I've heard, I have not played it, but from what I've heard, it is a very, very
It's so
quality
good.
title.
Another great Steam Deck game.
Yeah.
And I would like a way to be able to acknowledge those games that are still published by these larger companies, but are made by smaller teams in a way that doesn't take away from actual independent studios.
I totally agree.
Yep.
You know, we just need a way to categorize that better. Is all it is. I have nothing against Dave the Diver.
Yeah. What'd you say, Alec?
Best low budget game, or I don't know,
on Kind of Funny Games Daily today,
Yeah.
he said that this title this would just be changed to non AAA, and I kind of like that. But I
think that's a great idea.
I think that would make people
or just have it as a separate category.
I think people would make it even.
There's no reason to get rid of best independent game. Just have best independent game and best non AAA.
Actually mean.
Sure. I'm totally with you. I think that would just cause more confusion with having several categories. But I think that's the better of the evil, like the lesser of the evils right now.
Yeah.
My vote. I'm gonna go.
Because I mean, it's.
Go ahead.
That's how you get like Hi-Fi Rush on the list as well. You know,
which we can talk about later. But Dredge will be my vote for best independent game, because that game is also
really good.
got a lot of.
I
played it.
Good things.
I personally disagree, but I feel like I am like the only person who played this game in the circle that are like, this game is. I'm like, this game's fine. I'm kind of bored, honestly. But everyone else is like, this game's fucking amazing. It's my game of the year. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm glad you enjoy it. But here we are.
All right. And I'm going with Viewfinder because I actually really enjoyed that game. Like, we had our review on it. Can check that out. Has its ups and downs, very high ups, and the downs were very down, but or not, I don't say very down, but it's just but it was fine. But like, I didn't realize until I was looking at the categories that there was also their debut game. So
interesting.
It actually makes sense to me. It made it it's one of those things that like that put a lot of things in perspective. So yeah, the Viewfinder, very good game, very fun puzzle game.
There he goes again.
Yep. Sorry, I was making a time code for that. Oh, peace.
Thank you.
Yeah. You back?
Guys, I'm going to kill myself.
We can get through these last ones a bit quicker.
Chris, I'm so sorry for the edit.
I mean, cutting things takes seconds.
I know,
yeah,
in the ass, but I'm sorry.
All right, best performance. Technical
Yes.
difficulties. Technical difficulties.
It's my fault.
Yeah.
It's my fault. Hello.
It's no one's fault. It's the bureaucracies. It's the internet's fault.
I need to get an extender. I've tried it once already. It's a whole thing. Anyway,
best performance.
As long as we all agree that it is Austin's fault.
I even agree. All right, I'm with you.
I was trying to shift the blame, but okay.
Nope,
It's Austin's fault.
It's me. It's my fault.
Okay.
I brought the weird energy. My Wi-Fi fucking sucks.
Comment down below if
Whose
it's
fault do
Austin's
you think
fault.
it is?
I would love if it just gets flooded with comments that just says it's Austin's fault.
I'll drive that
That's it.
algorithm up, engagement up, get us boosted.
No context.
Anyway, best performance. Awarded to an individual for voice over acting, motion, and or performance capture. We've got Ben Starr, who's Clive from Final Fantasy 16.
Woo.
Cameron Moynihan, Cal Kestis, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Idris Elba, who's Solomon Reed in Cyberpunk 2077. Melanie Liburd, who's Saga in Alan Wake 2. Neil Newbon, who's Asterion in Baldur's Gate 3. And Yuri Lowenthal, Peter Parker, Spider-Man in Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
So before we get into this, I am going to play Phantom Liberty, but I haven't yet. I have not played Spider-Man 2 nor Alan Wake, so I can't comment on any of those.
Gotcha.
I guess I took first pick last time though, so I just wanted to like kind of get that out of the way.
Go ahead,
I was gonna say my pick, but then I was like, no, hold on.
I am going with Ben Starr just because after seeing him or voice Clive, and then just becoming aware to his internet presence after him being on Kind of Funny, like dude is just an amazing guy.
Yep, best Mario I've ever seen.
Right. But just his performance as Clyde was so well. Like there's that moment when you get like the moment of accept the truth and you hit the
Yep.
L3 and R3 buttons. It's
Yep.
just this amazing moment.
Yeah.
And just the amount of moments where like they're like you literally go from the hypest hype like anime moments to just you're just devastated at what happens in the game. He has such a huge range in this game.
Yep.
Like
I'm with you.
if you don't play Final Fantasy 16, you owe it to yourself to just watch some of the cutscenes
I agree.
because they're just so good. So
Game of Thrones, Ian. If that's a word.
yes.
It's not, but here we are. Go ahead, or Chris.
Okay. I love Asterion. Like, don't get me wrong. But also most of my playthroughs, I don't have him in my party very often. So I haven't seen really like the full performance in that character arc like come all the way through. Also because I haven't finished it because it's like a fucking 150-hour game. So I would feel remiss if I didn't pick Cameron Monaghan as Cal Kestis.
Yeah.
One, as everyone knows, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and like so, make of that what you will. But at the same time, like part of the thing, and we'll get to this once we get like to our actual like game of the year stuff, like in a later podcast and all that. But like of all of the games that have come out this year, and with like the insane games that have come out this year, Jedi Survivor's story has stuck with me more than anything else that I've played this year, and a huge part of that is because of Cameron's performance. Like he really elevated it and took it to another level.
Yeah,
and showed off what he's got. And I think he was incredible. That said, I've heard Idris Elba is extremely good in Cyberpunk, and so I'm really excited to play that. And then, I mean, Yuri Lowenthal is my favorite version of Peter Parker ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm sure he kills it in Spider-Man 2, but I haven't played it, so I don't want to comment on that yet.
Yeah. I think it's, I don't know about likely, but I can see a world where people want to give Yuri his flowers here. I can see it.
Yeah.
I don't know how likely it is, but like I wouldn't be shocked.
Especially because first game came out the same year as God of War, right?
Exactly. And Red Dead, right?
Yep.
So I think God of War didn't even win that year for like performance. It was Roger Clark or whatever for Red Dead 2.
Yeah, that's when he
deserved
last
by
year.
the way.
Totally agree.
Sure.
It was a toss up. Like, either one of them got it, would have been cool. I don't want to be a hater, but the gal Melanie LeBird who plays Saga, I actually didn't like her performance that much. She like slips in and out of character in a weird way that I don't know. It made it harder to follow because with a game with a narrative that's like all mind fucky, like I thought she was like a different person at one point, like because she literally felt like a different person. No, that's just how she acted it. And again, I'm not trying to be a hater. She had moments where she definitely nailed the role, but it was just brief moments where I was like, I don't really enjoy this. But like Chris said, Asterion kind of took the internet by storm here. So I'm going to hope that the horniness kind of takes over here, and I'm going to go with Neil Newbon. That's going to be my vote.
What I've seen, the bits I've seen of Asterion, like he fucking kills it. Like, don't get me wrong, but I haven't seen the full character arc yet either. So I'm sure it's really good.
Yep.
Shout out to Karlach though, who is actually my favorite character in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Karlach's really cool.
Alrighty, next category. We've got Best Score and Music. For outstanding music, inclusive of the score, original song, and or licensed soundtrack. We've got Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
I think, honestly, it's only between two. No, that's a pretty good category. But I'm gonna pick Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I heard people talk about that all the time about their score and music. Again, I have only played like a couple hours of this game, and I said I'm gonna go back to it. I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know.
I like Tears soundtrack for elevating it. Because I mean, it's a bigger game than Breath of the Wild, and the score kind of reflects that to where it does. Because Breath of the Wild was very minimal, which was awesome because that's a huge change of pace for Zelda, which usually has like these gigantic, like iconic sweeping scores, and they kind of pulled that back to kind of give you the feeling of like, hey, it's me in this giant world, right?
It's just
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is a much more bombastic score than Breath of the Wild, and it's very, very good. And I mean, Zelda always puts out quality music.
Just that, like the final bit of the story. Like I'm just gonna just that moment. Like I literally like there's just times that song just comes into my head like throughout the day.
Yeah, sure, it's very, very good.
every fiber in my being wants to just simp for Hi-Fi Rush right now, but
Yep.
because I think it also got snubbed for a category. But I will say that just because of the categories we listed, we didn't do all of them. Hi-Fi Rush had a lot of spots. I think it got nominated
Yes.
like 5 or 6
Hi-Fi Rush
times, and
soundtrack is very good.
I fucking love that. So good for the Hi-Fi Rush team. Really
Yep.
really cool stuff. But yeah, I think my vote is for Zelda.
All right. I'm actually going to pick Final Fantasy 16 again because
Fuck!
oh boy.
Damn
Oh
it.
boy. Those boss fight music, like just
Unbelievable.
alone, like amazing. Like the fight that everybody talks about, I think it's against Titan, like that was so
Oh,
getting so hyped up in my head, like because people were saying it lives up to one of the hypest scenes or in Survivor. But then it was the boss fight after that I'm like, no one's talking about this one though. And this one in my mind was even more hyped than the previous one that everybody was hyping up. And it's just the music in it. It's like just think of whatever hype anime sequence you have and then just elevate that.
you just ramp it up by like multiply it by 10.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it's yeah.
For the record, Final Fantasy would have been my pick as well. I don't think there's a single Final Fantasy game out there with a bad score. They're all incredible. Fucking Tetsuya is a fucking wizard when it comes to that. But since we're all picking separate games, my very close second behind Final Fantasy was Hi-Fi Rush. That soundtrack is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, you want the music to be very good in a rhythm-based game, and Hi-Fi Rush delivers on that.
100%.
You get this really cool like rock, electronic, punk mix that's just all really rad, and it's just it's fucking dope. Play Hi-Fi Rush, please. It's so good.
Please.
Yes.
Please play that game. Initially, I was like, this is only between 2 games. This is a really good category.
It's a very category.
Now, looking through this, like I can see literally every game on this winning this.
Yep.
And I wouldn't
Baldur's
be
Gate
like,
3
yep.
also has Baldur's Gate 3 also has a very very good soundtrack, but it's also for the length of the game, it's also a very short soundtrack.
Yes.
There is kind of one motif that gets reused throughout the entire thing, which is cool, but like Alec just saying it gets lodged in your brain real good. It's very very good, but for as game as big as it is, I would have liked to have seen more, and so like I think it's great. I actually listen to it a lot, but like I wouldn't put it over Final Fantasy or Hi-Fi personally.
Yep. And Alan Wake 2 has some like very specific segments, and I won't spoil anything, but there's like a whole level kind of catered to singing and performing, and it's fucking awesome.
Oh my god, yeah.
Play that game.
Yeah, one of the coolest moments in games this year.
I'm sure. So you said you haven't played Alan Wake 2, but I'm sure you saw some snippets of this, Chris.
I've deliberately avoided it all. I'm gonna play Control first.
Okay.
I do at least I do at least know that everyone talks about this one particular part of the game, and so I'm like, cool. I can't wait to experience that. But I've managed to avoid all of it so far. Yep, and I'm gonna be honest. I thought you were talking about Hi-Fi Rush for a minute, which is why I was like, oh yeah, one of the coolest bits. I was thinking of something else, and so that's
fair enough.
That's on me.
Very cool bits.
Well, take everything Chris just said about Hi-Fi Rush, and it literally is 1-to-1 for what I was talking about for Alan Wake 2. So,
well, as a quick speaking of Hi-Fi Rush, like it's just one of those like how it because the category does say licensed music. It does integrate its original music and licensed music very well into the game.
Yes, there's a couple needle drops in there that are hype as shit.
Totally agree. Okay.
All right. We've got 2 more categories left. 2 are probably the biggest ones. We've got Best Narrative for Outstanding Storytelling and Narrative Development in a Game. We've got Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, Final Fantasy 16, and Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
Number one, can I just say how happy I am to see Cyberpunk on this list at all? Especially because like I'm literally in the middle of a replay through of Cyberpunk, so I can get up to Phantom Liberty. I haven't hit that yet.
Sure.
And like it's a different game. I would love to have almost just include all of Cyberpunk as in categories again. Give it another chance.
It did get nominated for Best Ongoing.
Yeah,
which I think is weird. A little weird, but
because it's not really an ongoing game. I think they've said they're already moving on to the sequel for Cyberpunk at this point. They're just kind of letting that be, and then they're gonna make a new game.
It did update it a lot, but mostly because the released version was so shitty.
But
I liked it at launch, and it's really good now.
that's what I thought was interesting because for those other two, it was just Cyberpunk, whereas this one specifically says Phantom Liberty.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
This
see.
is specifically Phantom Liberty because this is the thing that came out this year, and by all accounts, Phantom Liberty's story is extremely good. You basically get like this. It's spy shit. It's a James
That's
Bond
why I heard like very
campaign
Mission Impossible.
in the middle of Cyberpunk, and that's fucking awesome. I haven't played it yet, so I cannot
Same.
corroborate any of that, unfortunately.
I bought it.
Again, I haven't played Spider-Man,
I
so
haven't
I
even done that.
won't comment on that. Same with Alan Wake 2, I've heard is really good, but that leaves me with Final Fantasy 16 and Baldur's Gate 3. And like, fuck, dude.
Yeah, just that choice by itself is a tough one.
I haven't finished either game. And so it's like I'm gonna go with my gut and go with Baldur's Gate 3.
I think it's the right one.
Just like based on what I have experienced so far, even like it's like from what I can tell, I'm about the halfway point through the game in the one save file that I've gotten that far in. Most of I've in one of the like 6 campaigns that I'm playing through, I've made it to Act 2. The rest are still in Act 1. And like even Act 1 on its own is big enough to be its own game by itself. They could have released Act 1 and Baldur's Gate still would have been amazing. And yeah, the quality of just what I've played of Baldur's Gate so far is so stellar that it's like I got to go with that one. Like I think it's awesome, and that's my pick. But although I mean, part of that is because I haven't experienced most of this list yet. So
Sure.
All right,
Alec.
I think I'm only about 40 minutes to an hour in, but honestly, I think I might have to go with Alan Wake 2 here.
No, that was mine.
Just because
I knew I was going to pick Alan Wake.
Like just the little bit I've played of it, like it was just already just that I am in. Although like, because I'm not much of a horror game fan, so some of those jump scares at the beginning are like, I don't know about this, but
they do pretty good with those.
But the man, like just when you get to like the story bits and like you're trying to figure out the mystery and all that, I'm like, oh, I am so in. Yep. And it's just one of those things like I just haven't gotten the chance to get back to it, so I'll probably I have not much going on this upcoming weekend, so probably will be doing that there. But just from that first hour, I'm like, okay, no, I can see why everybody's hyping this game up.
As someone who has played and beat Alan Wake 2, and it is in my top, I don't want to give away too much, but it's in my top 5 for the year. The story is the point. Like the story is why you play Alan Wake 2. I mean, spooky vibes too. Like that's very true. It's just okay, did you guys hear how the first one ended? There's a quote where it's like, "It's not a lake, it's an ocean," or whatever. They have another one of those. They like basically like they just swap out 2 words at the very end, and I'm like, God damn it! Like I feel like they know what they're doing with the narrative, but I almost feel like they do it too much. Like they're trying too hard to like one up themselves at certain points.
It's not an ocean; it's a galaxy.
But they talk about like loops and stuff, and they go into it's not a loop, it's a blank, and then it's a whole thing. But Alan Wake 2, the story is really really good. I personally would do that. I would vote for that personally, but I don't think. Like I think more people will share in the case as like, oof, they tried really hard. Like it kind of went over my head, kind of a deal. But I do think they do a lot in terms of like presenting the story well with like the mechanics of like the board where you can set out all like the investigation stuff, and then you have a similar one for Alan Wake 2, which is more puzzly, for Alan Wake himself, that is more puzzly, but you can like literally do like settings and like changing what actually happens in the setting, and that changes the environment, and that's really really cool. But it also fits into the narrative because you're like changing the narrative literally as you play, and that's like the whole idea, and it's really meta, and like it's a whole thing. So the narrative is really 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 good, and I think that if it won, I wouldn't be shocked. But yeah, it's one of those things. I feel like people might think they tried too hard. For my actual vote, I didn't really love Spider-Man 2's story. I kind of talked about that on the review. I wasn't really all about how they utilized specific characters. I didn't really enjoy kind of how they squandered that, in my opinion. So because of that, I'm gonna go with Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah,
I think that it's gonna get no love elsewhere for the most part. And I think this might be what people are like, all right, let's give props to the writing team here and the leads
because
on
it
this
was a
one.
good narrative.
It really was. I think it's the best part of the game, and I
Oh,
really
yeah.
enjoyed the combat. I really enjoyed some of
Combat very good too.
the mechanics of like using the, what are they called? The
Icons.
icons. Yeah. I think that's really, really cool and nifty, and
Super
I
neat.
enjoyed that a lot. And it looks beautiful. It's fucking gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think the narrative is kind of like where Alan Wake 2. I think that the story is kind of the point of Final Fantasy 16, and it shows. So that'll be my vote.
Mm-hmm. All right. We've got the big one.
Here it is.
Game of the year. Recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. Got Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Wonder, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom.
Oof.
Okay. Let me get this out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love that Resident Evil 4 is here.
Same.
And here is my reasoning behind this, and it's not because it isn't one of the best games of the year, because I think it is. It's probably in my top 5 as somebody that loves Resident Evil 4.
Also agree.
This is also a game that has been critically lauded basically ever since it came out, like originally back in like fucking 2009 or whatever. Yes, and like. This isn't a case of like, well, now it's time to give Resident Evil 4 its flowers. It's had flowers for like 15 years, right? And I think as much as I love Resident Evil 4, especially when you think of the other Resident Evil remakes, this game is really close to the original, just in terms of like what it is as a game. It does feel like it's a modern version of that game, whereas you look at like Resident Evil 2, that's almost a different game, right? I think it's incredible. It expands on the original Resident Evil 4 in a really new way. It does all of these things, but to include a remake of a game that is already very critically acclaimed and not have Street Fighter 6 or Final Fantasy 16 here feels very, very weird.
Or Hi-Fi Rush.
Or even Hi-Fi Rush, yeah. And I understand there's a bit of personal bias here when I shout out like Street Fighter 6 specifically, because fighting games not necessarily the most popular thing in the world and that sort of thing. But when you look at the category, recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields, Street Fighter 6 has done for fighting games what no other fighting game has ever done before. It's made it more approachable and accessible for people that are outside of it. It's completely changed the dynamic of the way Street Fighter itself plays with its new mechanics. It's got the best online of any fighting game out there, and a brand new thing with the Battle Hub that we're seeing other games start in its own genre start to mimic. Like it is absolutely the trendsetter in one of the most like longest running series of games out there, alongside Final Fantasy 16, which again pushed itself to do something new and delivered like gigantic like set pieces and this really intricate narrative and all these things. And it's, I'm not one to normally get upset about these games getting snubbed about this sort of thing, because like I said at the top of the show, again, I don't give a fuck about who wins the Game Awards at the end of the day. But it does bother me that these games kind of go overlooked in the way that it's like Street Fighter 6 isn't on this list at all. It's up for best fighting game, but like,
and it is up
most
for
people don't give a shit about
accessibility as well,
which is great. I love that. But like these are games, and then Hi-Fi Rush being this out of nowhere surprise drop, being an incredible game with great narrative, really really cool, unique mechanics, and an insane soundtrack on top of that, and then to get left out of this outside of best soundtrack, like, what are y'all doing at the Game Awards, man?
Yep.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say, not to disagree with anything you're saying, just to play devil's advocate, aren't these just what people voted for? Like, aren't these just what people put into the ballot? So Resident Evil 4 received enough to get into the Game of the Year nomination?
I don't know.
Okay.
I believe that is true.
So
I don't know, and that's fair. And when I think of like creative and technical fields, again, I don't say this to take anything away from Resident Evil 4, because it's probably in my top 5 of the year. Like,
it's just this year in games.
I'll say this: Resident Evil has never been my thing. I played this year. I would give it a 10. I would give it a 10 out of 10, and I put it. I have like a top 40 games of all time on my GG thing. It is now in there. It's in my top 40 of all time because the game is that fucking good.
I think I did give it a 10 in our review. Like, it's one of those things to where it, especially like Resident Evil 4 was already one of my favorite games ever made, and now I actually prefer the remake to the original version. Like, if I'm going to sit down and play Resident Evil 4, I'm going to play the new one, and it does all these things in a really cool and unique way. But, and like, there's not a solution to this. It's like I just sit here and wonder, like, what a shame that like a game and series that has already kind of been celebrated now is kind of in a slot where I would love to see something new celebrated, if that makes sense.
Yep, I totally agree.
And again, it's not taking away through. I think like the team at Capcom is amazing. The devs on Resident Evil are amazing, and it's a hard thing to kind of be like to address.
You don't deserve this, right?
Yeah, because it does. It's an incredible game.
Yep.
But like,
I'm with you.
The only solution I can think of is just expanding the amount of games that are on Game of the Year, right? Like, like,
or just
like this year's crazy. Put 2 more on there, you know, or something. I don't know. I think it's. I simultaneously, I was like, I love that a remake of a game is good enough to end up on Game of the Year lists. I think that's incredible, especially a game that was already as good as it is. Now there's an even better one. That's nuts. When has that happened? Like, how often does that happen, right? But at the same time, like, man, I would have loved to have seen Street Fighter or Hi-Fi Rush on this list as well.
Yep. Or Final Fantasy 16.
Or Final Fantasy even. Yeah. Like, it's just, it's tough. It's tough. You know, in such a stacked year, it's hard.
I kind of feel the same, not for a different reason, but I don't think Mario Wonder deserves to be on this list either. Like, I think that's literally here because he has Mario in the title.
Because it's Mario, yeah.
That's it. Because I mean, the game's good, but like, I haven't heard anyone rave about it since playing it. They're like, it's fine, it's cool, it's fun, good time.
But honestly, though, as much as I don't agree with the Resident Evil 4 pick, I do like that it did stick with the 6 games. Just to be like, nope, that's what we're doing. That's what we've done.
I mean, they stuck to their guns, and I'm good with that. Like, that's
exactly.
I don't necessarily think that's the right move either, though. Is the thing, but yes.
Well, I'm just saying because everybody was expecting them to expand it because of how crazy this year was.
Yeah. And I don't. And yes, it would have caused a thing. People were like, "Oh, you expanded it this year. Why not every other year?" But like, I do think if there's any year that's going to warrant this happening, it was this year. And now people are like,
we're not going to understand when they drop it back down. When they drop it back to 6 next year,
I'm getting. I totally
agree. What the fuck, you know?
I totally agree. Yeah. I'm just saying. I feel like if they were ever going to make that move, this was the year to do it.
Oh, for sure.
Now it's never going to happen ever.
Yeah.
Ever in the history of the Game Awards, it's not going to happen. So
before we get into our picks, I'll just say this medley is going to be awesome when they do like the medley before.
Dude,
I'm so stoked to hear it, dude. I can't wait.
You know how much cooler it would have been with Hi-Fi Rush or Final Fantasy 16.
True.
But yeah, that's okay. It's fine.
Okay. Or Street Fighter, you get somebody to come out and sing the
rap.
Oh, yeah. Tell them back down.
That'd be awesome.
Nice change of pace. Put that right in the middle of that. Yeah. With all that being said, because I do think every game on this list is good. With the exact Mario Wonder is probably like an 8. I think every game on here is a quality video game. I think they deserve being on the game, like it deserves a nod for like potentially being the game of the year. That I agree with on all of these. I think I have to go with the year that they've had Larian Studios game, Baldur's Gate 3. I think people have not shut about this game. I think they're doing something completely new to the medium, kind of like how it goes. Not new, but like they took this sort of RPG genre, like a CRPG type of deal, and just went 1,000 miles with it. Like they just took it to the nth degree, and they're like, the one thing I will say about this is like, I don't think we're ever going to get a game like this ever again. Is because like this kind of like dev cycle
have said it's like, I don't know that we could do that again.
Yeah, like this kind of dev cycle should not be expected. But even that almost makes you feel like it has to win Game of the Year this year, or like what the fuck are we doing? But that's my vote.
Well, they had 3 years of early access.
That's what I mean. Like I don't think.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say that's why I am like standing by the fact that I think that this type of quality of a game of this like caliber will literally never see light of day again, because it will literally take people like 10 to 15 years to do it, and like that's just not the reality, especially right now that things like that are going to happen.
Which also for everyone that hasn't, if you enjoyed Baldur's Gate, please go play their previous games as well, because they play very similarly. That said, part of what makes it so impressive though too is that you mentioned is like they took this CRPG and and went the extra mile with it, right? Like they made it massive, and like millions of people have played this. A part of what's so impressive about that to me is that it is not an approachable genre in any way,
Sure.
shape, or form. To the point where I'd say Baldur's Gate 3 really isn't even the most approachable game.
Yeah.
And
It's part of the
because
reason why I gave up on it, for the record.
It's got this real old school mindset of it's like you're either going to learn to play this game or you're not, you know,
And that's okay. For the
and that,
record.
and that's fine, but you don't see games like that on Game of the Year lists,
Sure.
you know.
Sure.
To have a game that is unabashedly old school, it's difficult, it's punishing, it's convoluted and difficult to learn. Like if you go into this like never having played Dungeons and Dragons before, you're gonna have to learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons to really grasp how Baldur's Gate works.
So I had to lower the difficulty down because like
I did
getting
too.
destroyed in the Goblin Camp in Act 1.
I played 5 hours. I couldn't even tell you how far I am. Probably like literally like 0.08%.
In my solo playthrough, I play on the easiest, and I still get clapped around sometimes. Like, because it's like the game does not shy away from anything other than what it is. It is unabashedly an old school CRPG that somehow millions of people played. That it got big enough to where it became a cultural thing, right? It's like you can't. There's not a single gamer out there that exists these days that has not heard of Baldur's Gate 3 at this point.
Yep.
You know, even if they haven't played it, and that's an incredible achievement for a genre that basically almost stopped existing in the 90s, right?
Yeah,
I'm with you.
And I was about to say, I mean, Austin should know that Fallout started as a CRPG. Like that's its origins, and it changed. Look at Fallout now; it's completely different. Games like that don't come out anymore.
Yep.
With obviously there are exceptions or whatever. Larian Studios being one of them. Their previous series are CRPGs. But I think it's this perfect nexus of D&D no longer being a niche thing, combined with such a high quality game all coming out at the same time, that there was no way that this game wasn't going to be massive, right? But I mean, like even the devs have come out and said it, where it's like, we just wanted to make a Baldur's Gate game. We didn't know it was gonna blow up like this. Like no, I don't think anyone was prepared for Baldur's Gate to be as big as it was, and I think that's incredible. And so Austin's got that pick, so I can't pick it for myself, but that is my pick for Game of the Year personally. Is Baldur's Gate 3, just by what it is and what it's accomplished in that way. That said, I look at this list with that off of the thing. I know I just railed against it for like 10 minutes. But I haven't played Spider-Man and Alan Wake. But I haven't played Spider-Man, Alan Wake, or Super Mario. And I like Tears of the Kingdom a lot. I don't like it as much as Breath of the Wild. I look at me personally and the games that I enjoyed and what they are, and I'm going to pick Resident Evil 4.
Wow. What a dark horse. If that wins, like what the
Right?
I will be utterly shocked. Utterly
it's
shocked.
Not going to. Baldur's Gate is going to win this thing, but like I like Resident Evil 4 a ton, and like again, I said it's a tough conversation. I do think it's like on the flip side of the coin, it's incredible that a remake of a game is of high enough caliber to essentially like swing alongside Baldur's Gate and Spider-Man and Alan Wake and all these other games. That's an incredible accomplishment, and I think Capcom have something really, really special on their hands, who are also killing it on like every other game that they put out.
Capcom might be like the best modern developer right now.
Cap
like,
God, man.
Like they're up there, man.
Great. They're killing it in all ways, and I think Resident Evil 4 is a testament to that.
Yep, so. Totally agree.
Yep,
Malik.
And I mean, as you know, I could see a future potentially where Baldur's Gate 3 and my pick, Tears of the Kingdom, split the vote, and maybe like Alan Wake 2 or Spider-Man potentially rise up.
Yep.
But like I said, I'm going with Tears of the Kingdom.
Totally get it. I think that has the best chance to be Baldur's Gate.
Agreed.
Like there hasn't been a game this year that took over my life the way that game did. Like I took that Friday off, the launch day off, played for about 8 hours straight, did the same thing that Saturday and Sunday. Like I played it so much because it was, you know, back in May, so like it was warmer here in Michigan. I had my fan blowing. My right eye was like bloodshot because of how dry it was. I was just sitting
Sure.
there on my couch playing the
Sure.
game. That
Worth
long.
it. Worth it.
The way they integrate, or not integrate, but the way they do the puzzle design in that game to where it's just so open ended. Like I talked about that in our first impressions video of the game. The way it's just so open ended, you can come at it in any way. Like they'll have the way they think it's intended to do it, but you know you've seen so many clips online of like some crazy contraption somebody made to get the shrine done.
Yep.
Like, and eventually, like I told the story on the podcast, but it's just one of those like you just hear things kind of moving around or see something happening, and it's like it also like that moment when a shrine like solution just clicks. There's nothing more satisfying than that.
Sure.
Where you just keep trying over and over and not quite getting it, but then you just get that eureka moment.
Sure.
And it's and just the traversal, like the fact that they made Breath of the Wild just 3 times bigger with the sky and the underground, like the fact that we didn't know about the underground at all before the game launched.
Insane. Oh yeah,
it's a pretty big deal.
Crazy.
I'm with you.
And just like the way the mechanics and physics work and interact with each other, like I'll never forget that launch weekend of devs from other companies all playing, and like my entire feed are all these devs of like, how the fuck did they do this? Like how did they make this work? And how is it working on the Switch? Like everyone being like, what fucking black magic did they pull off to make Zelda work? Like it's genuinely unreal.
It's a 16 gigabyte game. Granted, I know it doesn't have all the 4K textures.
Is like over 200 gigs. Like I mean, it's crazy. And so like it's just more than anything else, like it's a technical marvel. It's an achievement in what video games can be in a way that like you mentioned it earlier yourself, Alec, is like there's no one correct solution to a puzzle. Like it's a game that encourages you to take everything that's in front of you and figure out how to get there like yourself. And it's wild. It's an achievement. That's what it is.
I remember seeing the tweet about this, and it's like the whole like just physics system in the game. Like you could just be gliding around, like you're like riding one of those like glider things around. You jump off of it, skydive off and glide somewhere else, and then that's just still gliding away doing its thing. Like it's just a whole physics system that's just there in the game, and
wild,
just insane.
Breath of. Got it.
And on that note, we will take our leave.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. We're gonna take off. Remember about the Discord watch party, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Hi-Fi Rush got snubbed.